Hello. Today I'm going to talk about my history from like start to not finish, but start to now. When it comes to disordered eating. I've talked a lot about my history of my addiction, and I think the mental process of addiction and eating disorders very similar. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell that story. So, let me think. Oh, I guess I'll just start from the very beginning. When I was a child, I was a normal weight. I was healthy weight. And then once I hit, it was before I hit puberty. So like 11, 12, no, maybe just right around the time, you know what, maybe a year before I hit puberty, I would say. Because I think I started puberty when I was 12. And I think I got chubby just a little bit before that. So I was always a normal weight, but I was always a normal weight when I was a child. And then I started getting like a stomach. And that would be the only place I really gained weight. It was the strangest thing. Like, and I still have problems with my stomach today, but like, I would eat and then I would get really bloated and I would look pregnant for a few hours and then it would go back to normal. And that still happens. It happens to almost all the women in my family. My grandma's maiden name is Schwartz, and so we call it the Schwartz roll. A lot of women in my family have this problem, so it's like a digestive problem maybe. I'm not sure. I never went to the doctor about it, but because it never caused pain, I would just get super bloated, look fucking pregnant for like a couple hours, and then be normal again. But I gained a complex about my stomach very early on, around 11 years old, maybe even 10. Then I just had that awkward phase. I think everybody goes through an awkward phase, and I was awkward looking compared to before and after, obviously. Between like 11 and 13. And I was heavy set, chubby. I wasn't like super fat or anything, but I was definitely chubby. The places I held the weight then are the same places I hold the weight now, except for my boobs, because I, didn't get boobs until I started puberty and started to develop. But my stomach, my neck/chin area, they call it a double chin, but really I have a fat neck. A little bit in my upper arms, and that's about it. Everywhere else, even when I'm heavy, I'm normal sized. You know what I mean? But in those specific areas, I gain weight and I get big in those areas. It was like that then, it's like that now. But now my boobs also, when I gain weight, my boobs get fucking huge, and then when I lose weight, they get way smaller. Like at my heaviest, I was not pregnant, but at my heaviest, I was like a 38 double E. And when I am at a healthy weight, I'm a 34D. So they're still big, but that's a huge size difference, right? And then when I was underweight before I got pregnant with my daughter, I was like a small C. But I started getting really, self-conscious about my stomach and about my weight, and I got made fun of a couple times. Bullied a little bit here and there, nothing major, but just like people talking shit, saying I looked pregnant and that I was fat and stuff like that, and it really got to me. And so when I was about 14 years old, it was, a couple years after I'd hit puberty, I really started to develop. I got taller, I grew boobs, my stomach shrank, I got all the right curves in all the right places, couple years after I started my period. And I looked more womanly, and this was right at 14. 13, I was chubby and awkward. 14, I looked like a woman. And I really liked it. But I still kind of hated myself. I still thought I had a fat stomach, which looking back, where, bitch? What the fuck? If I was as fat as I was the first time I thought I was fat, I'd be a skinny motherfucker. Anyways, so what I started doing was just eating less and seeing results, and I was getting even smaller, and my stomach was super flat, and I loved it. And also I was a dancer, ballet, tap, jazz, modern, gymnastics, all that shit. I did that shit for years. And my dance teacher would always talk to me about my stomach. She'd come up and jab me in the stomach, and she's like, you know, tighten your stomach muscles, and I won't be able, it won't hurt. It'll, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't like it, and it always made me feel really uncomfortable, and it made me cry sometimes. But that's what she did, and it is what it is. She's fucking great. She's wonderful. She's an absolutely stunning human being. I love her so much. I know she was trying to help, and I know it comes from a loving place, and that it just frustrated her because I had potential, but there is this one thing that was just really holding me back. But it did fuck with my head. I didn't like it. Like, I kept thinking, there's like another way. I don't know. Like, if it's not getting through to me, it's not getting through to me. Like, you guys are still getting my parents' money. I don't know, you know. But I was in competition groups, and, you know, it wasn't just for fun. It was, you know, it was a sport. It was something I did competitively. Sorry, hold on. And so being a dancer, also didn't help when it came to wanting to be thin. Everybody around me, it seemed like, was super thin, and I always felt like the fat one, even though looking back, I wasn't. This is what I thought. This is where the, you know, disordered thinking kind of started. And then when I was 14, I never ate breakfast. And for lunch, every single day for like 2 years. It started in middle school, 8th grade, and went into my freshman year. They had, at school, you could pick whatever you wanted to eat. And all I would pick was water. Every now and then, Fruitopia. Does anybody remember Fruitopia? Sometimes I get a Fruitopia, mostly water. And they had French fries and like this cheese dip. That was all I would get for lunch, was a small thing of French fries, cheese dip, and a water or a Fruitopia. And that's what I would eat about for lunch every day for like 2 years. And then I would just have like a normal dinner, but like I wouldn't eat, like I would get full and like not want to eat, and like I would eat small portions. I got down to a really low weight. I was only 105 pounds, which from my height and everything, that was low. I was underweight. I never got to the point where I like lost my period or anything, but I mean, I look back at old pictures and I'm like, I'm a fucking stick figure. Oh my God. I was very, very small. And then, I stopped being able to contain, you know, my hunger. I started indulging in food again, and not overindulging, just eating normally. And I started gaining weight, and I freaked out and panicked. And so I got to the point where I started throwing up after I ate. And it wasn't a binge and purge. It was just normal eat and purge. You know, like it wasn't like a binge. It's not like an uncontrollable, I'm going to eat everything ravenously and then have to throw it up. I was starting to eat normally, and it freaked me out that I was gaining weight, but I couldn't stop eating normally because I was so hungry. Then I would throw it up. It finally came out. I told my mom. Things, you know, came to fruition to where it was out, and, you know, I ended up not going to therapy or anything. I just slowly started eating normally. I didn't throw up anymore, and just, you know, having family and support definitely helped. And ever since then, my weight has fluctuated between almost 100 pounds, up and down. I'm constantly gaining or losing ever since then, and I'm almost 30 years old now. So I can't say I have bulimia or, you know, anorexia, but I do have disordered eating. I've never been diagnosed with an eating disorder, but like I said, I know I have disordered eating because I'm either under consuming and, you know, doing all that, or consuming normally and throwing up, or not binge eating per se, but over consuming and binging on occasion. I got really depressed when I got married a long time ago. That was a mistake, but it doesn't matter. You know, we learn from our mistakes. And it wasn't a mistake because he was a bad person, because he wasn't. It was just a mistake because we just should have never got married. And I got really depressed because we moved to New Mexico and I was away from my home. I was homesick. I was fucking miserable, and I gained so much weight. When my mom finally saw me, she didn't even hardly recognize me. You know, I got up to like 180 maybe, And a lot of people might think that that's not that big but for my frame and my size, once again, 105 was very small for me. 180 is very big for me. And I felt horrible all the time. I felt heavy. I had trouble breathing. I had no energy. And it was from depression, just sitting around, laying in bed, doing nothing and eating. And just eating and eating and eating my feelings. I have an addiction to food. I truly do. And then after that, and this weight loss this time after, I got married, I was like 19, 20, around 21 years old, I ended up losing a shit ton of weight and got down to like 110, 115, which is way too small for my frame. A lot of that was drugs, suppressing my appetite, but it was also just, I loved the way I looked. I've always wanted to be thin, and I struggle with it because I fucking love food, but I've always wanted to be thin. So every time I've been underweight, I've been the most confident, but then I look back at photos and I'm like, confident about what? Like, you look ill. I did look ill. Yeah, I got down to a really low weight. Like I said, a lot of it was because of drugs. Mostly because of drugs, but also, like, even when I did have an appetite, I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm getting so skinny, I'm just not gonna fucking eat even when I am hungry. I'll just go and do more drugs and I won't be hungry anymore. So it was a combination of addiction and, my disordered eating habits coming out. Then I got pregnant, and I had a very healthy pregnancy. I actually am glad I got pregnant because I was underweight, like I said, when I got pregnant. But then I gained all the healthy weight back, and I got up to like 175 at my highest when I was 9 months pregnant, ready to pop. And then after that, I was a pretty normal weight for quite a while. I had a stomach at first, every woman does after they have a kid. Your uterus has been stretched out to God knows how big, But then once that went down, my weight went down again. Once again, drugs had something to do with it, but it was also like, I go on these in these weird modes where I'm just like, I'm not gonna fucking eat that much. Like, I'm just gonna not eat, and I don't worry about it. And then that'll happen for a year or two, and then I go fucking nuts, and I binge, and I just eat, and it's like I can't control it. It's like I can't find a balance. And that time I got down to like 130, which is a very healthy weight for me. I just did it in an unhealthy way. And that's actually my goal weight now is 135. Sorry, 135 is my goal weight now. And right now I'm 155. So I have 20 more pounds to go. And this is the first time ever in my entire fucking life that I have lost weight in a healthy, conscious way. It's not that I'm trying to be skinny and I fucking hate my body. And it's not like that this time. It's a wonderful feeling to know that I'm doing it because I want to live a long, healthy life. And, my motivations are totally different than what they used to be, than what they've ever been before. But once again, before I started losing weight this time, I got up to almost 180 again. To probably 180 again. I don't weigh myself as much when I'm heavy. So it could have been more, it could have been a little less. I don't know. Once again, I was in a relationship I didn't want to be in. I was depressed. And I didn't have a job like the time before. And I sat at home and fucking ate and sat at home and fucking ate. You see a pattern here, right? I go into these crazy moments where, like, I gotta lose weight, and I'm like hyped on drugs, and I'm doing all this crazy shit, and then the next moment I'm super depressed, and I'm not doing anything except sitting around home, and, a lot of alcohol is included in the times where I gain weight. It's weird, I go through these phases. But all these times I was not in recovery, all these times I was sick, mentally, and my disordered eating falls definitely hand in hand with my addiction. It's all the same mental problem. I just really feel that way. It's all the same mental process. And right now I'm in recovery, and I have been, and this is the first time ever where I'm losing weight in a healthy, sustainable way that's actually making my health improve instead of just being skinny and still really fucking unhealthy. So I'm really proud of myself for that. I'm never going to have a perfect body. I've had a child. My boobs are not what they used to be, and My stomach's not what it used to be, and none of my body's what it used to be, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being perfect, and I used to not be okay with not being perfect. I was a perfectionist. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to act perfect, look perfect. I wanted to be perfect. And that was a lot of where my mentality came from when I would lose this weight. I'm like, if I lose weight, I'm going to be a better person. And that's just horseshit. It's complete fucking horseshit. I'm a better person, you know, if I take care of myself and if I'm healthy. And those times I was not taking care of myself and I was not being healthy. I was treating myself like shit. You know? Absolute shit. I might go into further detail about this later, but I have to go back into work. I'm on my lunch break. Sorry if this was like long-winded or weird or didn't make sense. I don't plan any of my videos out. I just literally hit record and start fucking talking. So if this was rambly or boring or anything, I'm sorry. I feel like it kind of was. But either way, I may talk about this more in depth later. I may not. We'll see. Just remember, there's always hope that tomorrow will be a better day.